How's it going, everybody? This is Tyler Drapper. Hope you're having a great day, and welcome back to another video. Alright, so if you're a long-time college football followers like I am, you absolutely know that one of the most famous teams in all of college football are the Michigan Wolverines, and they, recently led by Jim Harbaugh, just won the national championship in college football over the Washington Huskies. And obviously, as I mentioned before, Jim Harbaugh, he was the leader of their successful season, their first national title since 1997. However, there's still a real clout in regards to what his future looks like and whether or not winning a national championship will be enough to help propel him back into the NFL if he decides that he wants to go that particular route. It's been a real interesting question about Jim Harbaugh over the last few weeks, and it only intensified bigger with his national championship victory earlier this week. So I'm jumping on board the bandwagon here. For this video, I'm going to be talking about what is next for Jim Harbaugh. I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about his season, a little bit about his time in the NFL prior, and with his national championship now locked up with the Michigan Wolverines, is it time for him to make another run for the Super Bowl as a head coach? So obviously, as we all know, the Michigan Wolverines are obviously one of the big Goliaths of all college football. However, up until Jim Harbaugh arrived, they had not won a national championship since 1997, and bringing in Jim Harbaugh from the San Francisco 49ers in the NFL, they hoped that that would be what would allow them to get back not only to the top step of all of college football, but make them national champions again, especially since Jim Harbaugh himself played at Michigan before. So this was obviously his alma mater. However, he had went through a lot of hard times during the first few years of his tenure at Michigan. In fact, at one point a few years ago, he was on the cusp of being fired because not only were they not anywhere close to winning a national championship, but they were also struggling a lot. In fact, they were struggling to even come close to being Ohio State as a result of all the struggles that they were going through at the time. And because of that, there were a lot of questions about whether or not his alma mater were willing to continue to go through all of this. But they gave him another shot, and finally, beginning of the 2021 season, they began to see results. In fact, over the last 3 years, we saw them have a really solid record. Overall, they won 60 games and lost only 3 of them. That's right, in all 3 of them, they went unbeaten and scored berths in the college football playoff tournament for all 3 of those seasons. Unfortunately, the first 2 of those, they resulted in a defeat in their semifinal game. But this time, it would be no different. They were able to overcome the Alabama Crimson Tide in the Rose Bowl, in which they were able to make their way to the national championship game against the Washington Huskies, and they were able to beat them 34-13 to win their first national title, culminating in an incredible run that Jim Harbaugh started in 2014 and ultimately kicked into high gear in 2021, all the way to now here to culminate the 2023 season. This was an incredibly long journey for Jim Harbaugh because his main mission when he chose to accept his offer to return to his alma mater was to bring the Michigan Wolverines a national title again. Obviously, we had no idea if that was going to happen, especially since Michigan gets a whole lot of glory in regards to the headlines for the college football world, and especially with all the struggles that they had really had over the course of the last few years. But this year, they finally made it happen. Jim Harbaugh was able to keep his team together, and with strong guys like J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum, they were able to underscore a perfect 15-0 season, win the Big Ten title for the 3rd year in a row, and they were able to win the national championship. Obviously, that is a perfect season right there. You can't get any better than that if you're Jim Harbaugh. But obviously, over the last few weeks, the question has remained, is this Jim Harbaugh's last season in college football? And more importantly, is it time for him to make his move back to the NFL? Well, I'm going to share with you a little bit about, all those theories surrounding that, and why, after what happened earlier this week, now might be the best time for him to do so. Because trust me, there's a lot more interest in him now than there was before this week. Obviously, as we all know, Jim Harbaugh used to coach the San Francisco 49ers during his time in the NFL for 4 years. In fact, he was a former player in the NFL himself. He played quarterback for a few teams during the span of, I believe it was a 14-year career during his time as a player, but for 4 years, he was the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers, which at one point had Colin Kaepernick, and they actually made it to Super Bowl 47 under him during his 2nd season with the team. Unfortunately, they lost that game by a whisker over to the Baltimore Ravens and his brother, John Harbaugh. I have to imagine that is still on his mind when he left the San Francisco 49ers for his job at the Michigan Wolverines, but still, ever since he left to join Michigan, all the questions have been wondering, when will he return to the NFL for another opportunity at a Super Bowl? Well, I really think that it was dependent on whether or not he crossed that checkbox in regards to winning the national championship with the Michigan Wolverines. And now that he has done that, I definitely feel like that now could very well be the best time for him to make his way back up into the NFL, especially with the clout that he now brings with a national title in college football. And there are plenty of teams that are in need of a head coach right now. The Atlanta Falcons need a head coach. The Tennessee Titans, they just let go of Mike Vrabel. They need a head coach. There's the Los Angeles Chargers, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Washington Commanders. They are in need of a head coach. They are definitely going to be having their eyes on Jim Harbaugh, and they're going to be trying to make a whole lot of offers to him to try to bring him onto their team before Michigan can have a chance of keeping him on board. Here are the few problems, obviously. It'll go along with the cloud of winning the national championship. Jim Harbaugh also brings a lot of controversy with him as well, especially this season in general, because he went through a lot of it during the course of the 2023 season. And it really started at the beginning of this year when he was suspended for the first 3 games of the season, all because of recruiting violations, which obviously is a big no-no when you're trying to bring some top recruits onto your college football team. But that was not the only suspension that he went under. He also went another 3-game suspension imposed by the Big Ten Conference as a result of the sign stealing scandal, which of course is still being investigated by the NCAA as things stand. And because of that, that's 6 games during the course of that season that he was suspended for. Of course, obviously, we all know that at least right now, Harbaugh is unaware of what happened during the sign stealing scandal, but it really didn't have an effect. They still went 15-0 and won the national championship, obviously. But obviously, the NCAA is still investigating this, and that is really the big thing, obviously. They can still find something that the Big Ten Conference didn't. And as a result, there's always the possibility that they can order Michigan's national title to be confiscated if they find any wrongdoing by Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines as a result of this sign stealing scandal. It all dates back to what happened with the Houston Astros when they had their sign stealing scandal, which was exposed after their World Series victory in 2017, which obviously, unfortunately, left my Yankees screwed over as a result. But still, if there is any wrongdoing found, there can be some real serious issues in regards to Jim Harbaugh's credibility if it is discovered that he played a real role in this scandal. I mean, it remains to be seen exactly what happens from there, but if that follows him over, there could be a real problem for him. Because what if it is discovered that Harbaugh did play a role in the sign stealing scandal? Are teams going to be more afraid now to pick him up and try to give him another chance at going for a Super Bowl? Well, maybe, but we really don't know until the results are revealed, and that's probably not going to be for a while, whether or not he decides to stay in Michigan or head back to the NFL. That's exactly why there is still an asterisk right now in regards to their national title this season, because we don't know if that's going to stand depending on what the outcome is of the sign stealing scandal. But again, as I mentioned before, what happened at Super Bowl 47 against his brother John Harbaugh, I have to imagine that is still on the back of his mind. And I had to imagine that, the moment he finally did secure that national championship with Michigan, I really have to think that as soon as he did that, he was going to think about potentially making his move back up to the NFL. And obviously, there are plenty of options for him to choose from. But again, is now the time for him to do so. As long as his national championship stands, I really don't think there's anything left for Jim Harbaugh to coach for with the Michigan Wolverines. He's accomplished his goal of getting them a national championship. He said that he was going to do that, which was the exact reason why that he even returned to his alma mater in the first place. He did just that, and now, because of that, there's really nothing left for him to coach for. He's done his job, and so obviously, why not make the move now? Why not go ahead, take the leap back up into the NFL, and see if you can get that Super Bowl as a head coach that you almost got at Super Bowl 47. Now, granted, I'm not so sure if Michigan is the team that you would want to leave for an NFL offer, because Michigan is obviously one of the most prestigious schools in all of America in regards to college football. But hey, if there's any time for him to really get up there in the NFL again and really go for another Super Bowl opportunity, now it's that opportunity for him to do so. Because if not now, he's probably not going to get another opportunity at all. Because if he is still there in Michigan by the time the results of the NCAA's investigation are revealed, and if it is revealed that Harbaugh did play a role in this scandal, then I'm not so sure if there's going to be anybody in the NFL that's going to want to put their hands on him, because otherwise his reputation is going to be tarnished. But again, we're going to see exactly what happens on the NCAA front of that. So yeah, as long as the NCAA reaffirms the Big Ten's findings and reveal that Harbaugh didn't do anything wrong and Michigan keeps their national title, hey, make the move now. I definitely feel like that Jim Harbaugh can definitely make it happen with a team in the NFL as long as there is high demand for him to do so and a real offer for him to really turn a franchise around. If there's any time for him to do that, it might as well be right now because he's probably not going to get another opportunity like that again. Without a doubt, Jim Harbaugh has accomplished quite a bit during his time as a player and as a coach. Obviously leading the 49ers to the Super Bowl and getting his alma mater, the Michigan Wolverines, a national championship for the first time since 1997 is a huge accomplishment that's been added to his resume, but still, that main goal is still clear. He wants to join his brother John Harbaugh as a Super Bowl champion head coach, and with his national title now secure, there is going to be a lot of teams that are in need of a head coach that are going to be trying to peg him as their next leader. And so obviously there's nothing left for him to do in regards to college football. If you're going to make the move back up to the NFL, it might as well be right now. Jim Harbaugh is now going to be a hot commodity again as a result of the Wolverines winning the national championship, and I will not be surprised if he makes his move back up to the NFL. Alright, so that's going to do it for this video. I would like to hear from all of you guys. What do you think about this situation? Do you think now's the time for Jim Harbaugh to head back up to the NFL, or do you think he should stay at the University of Michigan? Or a wild card, do you think that he should now retire? I mean, I don't know, that's out of bounds, but I would really like to hear from you in this situation. Feel free to let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be more than interested in hearing your opinions about it. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when my latest video is released. Comment below for future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's blogs, projects, or challenges, you name it, leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. As always, follow me on my social media. All the links are in the description below. That's going to do it for this midweek upload. I hope you're having another great day. As always, I hope to see all of you in another video very soon. So long, everybody.